are back on the ground in Ukraine. Residents of the capital, Kyiv, endured a night of shelling by Russian forces last night and today. There have also been more marked air raid sirens. Languages professor Olga Tarnovska lives just 10 kilometres from the centre of the city, and I spoke to her just over an hour ago. I began by asking what it's like for residents like her at the moment.
It was a bit tough night because the artillery bombing were very close, and I could hear it all the night till 7 o'clock a.m. and I couldn't sleep. Well, because it's difficult to sleep with the bombing around. Even if it's not very close, it's still disturbing, and you can wake up suddenly and you have a heartbeat. And it's very difficult to calm down and sleep, so I just slept when it was over for a couple of hours. And we are at curfew time, you know. We are staying for 36 hours in-house in the whole Kyiv region because of the risk of bombing and Russian troops offensive in some places. They still, even if they don't have any strategies, they still try to get into the Ukrainian capital. And I suppose that Ukrainian troops also try to use this time without people outside to make some special operations and to cut the enemy which is trying to enter.
Right. So given that, what are the priorities for you now? I mean, are you able to get your food and all the rest of it and stock up?
Well, I have a stock for 2 weeks. And I think all Ukrainian people have a stock by now for 2 weeks at least, or 1 month. Because you never know how much it would be, how long it would take you to stay without going out. So there were queues yesterday in my city. All people were trying to buy some food and water and something they have to do before they will be closed for 1.5 days or even more. And it's very disturbing because in my city we just left like 20% of people.
Yes, I was going to come in there and ask you because, as you mentioned, a lot of people have left Kyiv, but you're obviously determined to stay. Why is that?
Well, Kyiv is resisting. In Kyiv, they have at least half of population who remain. It's quite a big number because Kyiv people are very proud of their city and they are not going to flee it so easily. And I stay here because from here I can feel my people, I can help my people, and I want to transmit everything to the world because Ukraine needs to be heard.
Yes, I understand that. I mean, and we completely empathize with what you're doing, but is there a point at which you would decide that you've got to leave?
Well, it can be intensive bombing, destruction of all buildings and everything, nuclear menace, because we are very close to the Chernobyl nuclear plant. And I've already survived one Chernobyl accident. I wouldn't like to survive another one. And of course, we have a menace of chemical and biological weapons from Russia. It's a crazy war, so we can't.
Right. So you never quite know what's going to happen next. Absolutely. Yeah. But many people, though, from outside Ukraine are aware of the fact that men from Ukraine aged between 18 and 60 are staying behind to fight. Are many women doing that as well, as far as you can see?
Yes. A lot of women are staying because all volunteers are mostly women. You know, we have a very powerful volunteer groups here because the war started in 2014. You know, and a lot of volunteer organizations helped Ukrainian soldiers the front line, and they remained during all these years. These volunteers were helping. and
Right.
we have a very good infrastructure, and a lot of women are inside.
And I
They-
understand that quite a lot of women are also fighting, and in some cases these are women who've chosen to stay even though they haven't necessarily got a military background.
Indeed, we have 70% of Ukrainian army composed of women. Of course, they are not always on the front line, but some of them are. We have snipers. We have even a woman who is a tank commander, and they are not very numerous, but they are there. And of course, we have some women in militia, in brigades, and a lot of women who are doing the support. I mean, cooking for soldiers, providing medical help. It's a lot of women, and doctors and everything. So we are all united, men and women, so to fight and to win.
And that's Olga Tarnovska, who was talking to me there from about 10 kilometres north of Kyiv, and we'll be talking to Olga some more in the coming days.